they bring a trusted environment to educate the peers in a more simple way. What is TB? How can it be prevented? And when you have these symptoms, what should you do? But also to have community health workers to do the screening and referral and even collecting of the sputum.
Recapping on your top stories, the former Kenyan Foreign Minister Rafael Tuju has been arrested. This is a day after he was reported to have disappeared, which led to fears that he may have been abducted. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
Good morning, a happy Tuesday to you and yours. It's 6 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. You are tuned in to On the Move right here on Channel Africa, www.channelafrica.co.za, and of course many other platforms that you can be a part of the family. There's so many conversations to have with myself, Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama this morning. It's a conversation that many of us don't want to have because, we want love to be forever. Love is beautiful indeed, but we're going to be speaking about divorce, and we're going to be speaking particularly about some of the things that we don't talk about, that those who are going through the process actually need to know. What's worth negotiating, what's worth fighting for, and what could cost you if you get it wrong. So we'll be unpacking some of those things in the first hour of today's show. Morning, Benji.
Morning indeed. Stay connected to Africa and the world with Channel Africa, the international voice of the South African Broadcasting Corporation. We'll watch and listen anytime, anywhere on channelafrica.co.za, on the Channel Africa mobile app, the SABC Plus app, or via the DSTV and OpenView audio bouquets. Stay connected. This is Channel Africa, first with the African story globally.
Let's keep things moving. It's 7 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. That's a beautiful one to start off the morning. That's Mastonga with Mariam, 10 past 9 Central Africa time.
Africa Matters. The conversation on climate change and financing Africa's recovery. Only on Channel Africa.
Selim Ayenan, what's going to be your focus during this summit? What are you going to be trying to get across?
The issue of lack of finance is not just an issue, but it's where the money is going. When we were at the period of COVID-19, you see how people react, how governments, everyone was just trying to solve the situation. That's the same thing. Climate change is an emergency. We should now realize that it's time to start funding the solutions. And after the political will, we need also to empower people that are working in the field. Okay.
Is the African voice being heard on these global stages?
Yes, I can say it's being heard more than before, but it's still not enough, especially where decisions are made. And too often, you see African voice are present in discussions, but absent in decision-making spaces, and particularly when it comes to finance allocation, for example.
Selim Ayenan, who's a climate advocate.
Across the continent, climate change is forcing tough decisions. This is Africa Matters. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
What if God didn't? What if I had never been blessed beyond limits? What if I was always depressed and not living? What if Squatter Campus Khalin was unwritten and all I ever had to reflect was Bob Dylan? Josiah just decided to rest and not finish. Sia wasn't up to the test and not winning. Shabalala said in his head he can't hit it, but for it, it's all relative-ish. What if Tyler just decided to wait? What if Keenan couldn't stomach the hate? What if Booger Love had never been saved and still in love with the game? It's all I fade. What if Eminem had stuck with the 9 to 5? If Chester wasn't playing in 95, if Philemon my singer was called offside and Doctor was injured, would you have ever seen Barker fly? And Brenda Fussy wasn't obsessed with show business, and all the Winnie wanted was checks and more children. And Costa said, you niggas correct, we're not women. And Jabba didn't fuck on your vest, they can't siblings and son. I stand steady on business and everything that I've done. I can't imagine my diva not being a prodigal son. I left Komani with vision and now I'm back as a young. What if? Mama, and all out, where would I be now? Mama, and all out, where would I be now? What if I was young and ginger and not chief? What if I was never prepared to love me? What if I was thinking of death and not peace? Cold heart, living with fear and can't breathe. What if I didn't move with the north side? If I had a problem being cool with a horse ride? I couldn't do what we all like. If I never knew Ngulungu na Matoswam. And all our time was it missed me. I'm focused on my daughters and my son and they miss me. If Zuma wasn't part of the big three, if Solomon Matango had quick feet, if Tito ain't decided to give me a gift, you gotta think about it. What if everybody tried to forgive? If I had not inspired a generation of writers to celebrate Amalanga Bafwit.
What If Ngani is the name of this one. Younger Chief joining us on that particular one. We're speaking about, I guess, a sensitive conversation. Nobody wants to speak about the end of love, particularly the end of marriage as well. And when we speak about divorce, we usually speak about it in emotional terms, right? The heartbreak, the separation, the starting over, the children, and those kind of themes. But beyond the emotions, it's also a critical legal and financial process. It might take 5 minutes to get married, but sometimes it can take years to get divorced, and one that can have lasting consequences if you're not handled carefully. And because in the middle of trying to move on, a lot of people overlook what they're entitled to, what they should be protecting, and what could impact their future long after the divorce is finalized. And that's what we'll be looking at today. What spouses should really be paying attention to during the divorce process? What is it that's worth negotiating? What's worth fighting for? And what could cost you if you don't get it right. We're joined by Advocate Thato Mahapa, who's a legal expert, specializes in ICT law, corporate and contract law, as well as family law. Thato, it's great to have you. Good morning.
Morning, Palesa. Please don't call me an advocate. I'm an attorney, not an advocate.
Attorney, apologies for
Not a
that.
problem.
But thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I think it's not fascinating, but it is a little bit how we always view the breakup, the divorce, only from the emotional aspect. And it is a very emotional process, but it is also a highly legal and financial process, isn't it?
You know, just to start it off on a lighter note, you need one witness to get divorced, but you need two witnesses to get married. It's always, it's always easier to get, it should be easier to get out than it is to get in. That said, lobola involves a whole host of people and marriages and weddings and all of that. A whole host of people that come together for this one unison activity. But when it comes to divorce, there are two people that can't agree on a lot of things. And it just goes to show how complicated a process and a decision it is. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, there's a lot that goes on. There's children in some instances. There's assets that are intertwined in the split. So it is a very cumbersome process in many ways.
And let's speak about some of these processes. What are some of the most common things that, a lot of people don't know about when it comes to the legal and financial processes of divorce?
I think it's very difficult to try and separate the legal and the financial aspects. Maybe let's put it this way. One, then in a lot of divorces, there are financially weaker spouses compared to the other more financially stronger spouse. And it becomes difficult for the one spouse to fight on par with their spouse who has access to the fund or has control of the funds or has access to more resources. And what a lot of people don't realize is that there's a built-in process within the divorce proceedings to assist you to get funding from the very spouse that is using their resources within the marriage to kind of oppress you or to prevent you from being able to get relief. In the Magic Court, they call it Rule 58. In the High Court, they call it Rule 43, that can provide you with interim relief that says, we know the divorce process takes long. Until the divorce process is finalized, this is what is going to happen in the interim. And these are going to be things like what happens to care and contact for the children, what happens to spousal maintenance, what happens to maintenance for the children, and should there be a cost contribution towards any one spouse's costs incurred in the divorce in the event that one spouse is financially dependent on the other, or one spouse has access to a greater set of financial resources than the other. A lot of couples or a lot of persons do not actually access those provisions to try and assist them to put them in a position where they can fight better for their own rights.
All right.
So there is an interim measure, yes.
Okay, Thato, it's usually during that interim process where people are thinking, what can I get out of this? How do I move my money? How do I secure the assets? What should you be looking out for in regards of that during that interim process? I'd like for us to look at that, but we'll do that after the break. We're speaking to Thato Mahapa, a legal expert specializing in ICT law, corporate and contract law, and family law. We're looking at what spouses should be really paying attention to during a divorce. What should you actually be negotiating? Maybe you should be keeping quiet a little bit. What's the omissions that you should be making, and what's worth fighting for, and what's at cost, especially when you have children, right? There are many dynamics that you have to consider there. Maybe you have gone through this experience or are going through it. What questions do you want us to pose? Remember, you can touch base with us on our WhatsApp number. We'd love to hear from you, and we can ask these questions to our guest. Let's take a break. We'll be back.
Franschhoek, get ready. The Vibe is happening this March. The Monroe Jazz Festival Franschhoek is bringing more than 30 local and international acts for one unforgettable weekend, including DJ Zinke, DJ Kent, DJ Kent Zero, Layla Hathaway, Robert Glasper, and Bilal, plus many more. From 27 to 29 March 2026, experience the music, the culture, and the energy. Grab your tickets now at ticketmaster.co.za. Monroe Jazz Festival Franschhoek. Feel the energy. Live the moment.
9 to 12 midday Central African Time. On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
+278 288 6684. We want to hear from you. Have you been through a divorce? Maybe you're going through one. Or maybe it's one of those things that you are scared of, and maybe that's why you don't even think about getting into a marital status. Give us your thoughts on this conversation that we're having today with our guests. As we are unpacking, what should you be looking out for when you are going through a divorce? We're speaking to Tato Mahapa, legal expert specializing in ICT law, corporate and contract law, and family law. Tato, just before the break, you were speaking about that fact that, you know, a divorce takes a while to be completed. And a lot of people are trying to make moves during that period when things are kind of pending or the process is still going through. What do you think should be the thing that people look out for from their spouses during that period, but also from themselves? Because I think we all take advantage that, you know what, we can actually be sinister during that period.
You know, it's a very interesting question you're asking, and to phrase it in that particular manner, to also look at what one is also doing in their own corner. There's a concept called litis contestatio, which means there's litigation that is being contested or that is pending. And in that period, any attempt to sell or get rid of assets in one's estate could then be set aside under certain circumstances. What is important is, if you're looking at the financial aspects, what's important is to look at, there is what we call financial disclosure and what we call legal discovery. To then say, please disclose, if we started the divorce in 2022, please disclose what has been the movement of your assets since 2022 when we started this. Where are your bank statements for the period since when the divorce started up until now? Have you sold any assets? Have you acquired any assets? Have you incurred any liabilities? And you can really use the process to compel disclosure. And you can ask the court to set aside certain dispositions to say, you sold a house that was a valuable asset in your estate, and you sold it for way under market value. And I want the court to set aside that disposal because it was a disposal. You sold the house to your cousin for half the price. And it was only so that you can remove the asset from your estate. It wasn't a genuine disposal. And I want the court to set that aside. The other alternative is to also look at what we call forfeiture.
Sure.
To say, I want you to forfeit your claim against my estate or against the joint estate, whether in full or partially. And these are the circumstances where I want, these are the reasons why I want you to be ordered to forfeit the claim. And if the court doesn't order forfeiture, this is the prejudice that I stand to suffer. And this is how you will be unduly benefited. So it's also a question of looking at a strategic approach to divorce litigation and not just see it as I'm divorcing. It is the end of a specific contractual, financial, spiritual, emotional relationship. It still requires you to have a strategy on how you're going to approach it, and not just issue summons for the sake of divorce summons and then litigate for the sake of litigating just so that you can get the one paper that says you're divorced. But at the end of the day, you've left 10,000 on the table, you've compromised the best interest of your children, you haven't secured maintenance, you haven't gotten your fair share of the assets in the estate. So it also requires that you take quite some time to consider the strategy behind what it is that you would like to get out of the divorce, and ultimately, what do you stand to lose and what do you stand to gain?
Tato, it's a lot to consider there. And, one thing that happens is that there is conflict that happens during this period that is increased or exacerbated. People say things, they text each other on WhatsApp, they're angry, they're making threats during this period. Are those things something that you should be careful about? How you translate messages to the person you're trying to divorce or separate from, because we think that those things are just on the surface. They're just things that are not part of the main story. But those could impact you during the court case.
It's a difficult one to answer in the sense that there's the range of things that can be said is very wide. I think that's why, number one, my very first advice for all clients is get counseling. Get counseling to cope with the emotions, get counseling to cope with what you're about to experience, this turbulence, because it is not a comfortable ride. It is not a ride that one woke up and said, one day I plan to get divorced. And when it does happen, it unlocks and unleashes certain emotions that you never thought, you had that emotional range, or you never thought that it would affect you in a particular manner. So advice number one, clients must get counseling so they can get assistance on how to cope with the process, how to manage their emotions, and how to interpret, how to give grace, because there's a lot of instances where you're going to have to give grace to the next person, because they're also going through this thing, which is a first for them that they had never planned for. So it's a very difficult time to go through. That's the first thing, to get the counseling. Two, you will find that in a lot of divorces, you also have litigation that arises associated with that. You have a lot of protection order applications between spouses that are divorcing, because the tension becomes heightened, the emotional sensitivity increases, and what would have been seen as just an emotional outburst 3 months ago is now seen as emotional abuse. What would have been understood as the absence of money last month, well, he's broke. This month it's seen as financial control and financial abuse. So there's a lot of associated litigation that comes out of that, because people don't also keep their emotions in check, or they don't understand that it is a period of heightened reactions. And in some instances, we just need to tone down and think that, it's not always about me, and this person is not trying to get me or trying to be the evil monster. And it's a human reaction. And people are going to have an emotional outburst, or they're going to be affected adversely by something that they never thought. So to give them a bit of grace, and that's why counseling is very important. And that's why also to understand the context of that litigation that arises, to manage it, and, try not to get things to blow out of proportion.
Yeah.
Yes, the outbursts can also be used against you. I mean, there's an instance where a husband said to the wife, I will continue taking care of you and your children that you came into the marriage with, and I do not intend to change anything. I'm going to do that because I loved you and the child, and it's not because I have an obligation to do so, but I want to continue doing so. He said this in a text and in an email. And when the question came then of what is the interim maintenance that needs to be paid pending the divorce, he then said, I don't want to continue paying this maintenance for this child. It's not my child. They have a father who pays for their maintenance. And I think it's one of the cases that was being famously discussed, I think in the past 2 weeks, about the court ordering a stepfather to continue paying maintenance for that stepchild, even though the stepchild has a father. So those outbursts and those statements can, yes, to some extent, be used in the litigation, whether in your favor or against you.
Yeah.
sometimes maybe not even necessarily in the divorce litigation, but in litigation associated with or ancillary to the divorce.
Okay, Tato, we'll have to leave it there. We've run out of time. I think this is great advice, and I'm glad that you do say that, taking care of the emotions is highly important, because they can also get you in trouble if you act only according to your emotions during this highly legal process. Thank you so much for your time. Where can we find you, for your legal expertise, but also on social media?
You can always find me social media. It will be Uncle Tato on Instagram and Twitter, and you can always email us info@mahapa.co.za or tato@mahapa.co.za.
Tato, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. That is legal expert Tato Mahapa, who specializes in ICT law, corporate and contract law, as well as family law. Let us know what you think on +27 83 288 6684. Let's move on and get our latest sports news.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It's a very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So the Ivory Coast striker Nicolas Pepe has earned a recall to the national squad after teenage forward Yan Diomande was ruled out of this month's World Cup warm-up matches through injury. Now Pepe, who was left out of the Africa Cup of Nations tournament earlier in the year, has scored 5 La Liga goals for Villarreal this season and last featured for the Elephants in October. The 30-year-old sparked controversy after his comments about Morocco's Cup of Nations record, later apologizing while also claiming that he faced racial abuse online. Now the Ivory Coast will face South Korea and Milton Keynes on Saturday, and then Scotland and Liverpool on the 31st of March as they prepare for the Group E clashes at the FIFA World Cup. They are in the same group as Ecuador, Germany, as well as Curacao. Back home now, Hugo Bruce, the head coach of the South African men's national football team, Bafana Bafana, has revealed they would have loved to face some of the world's top footballing nations, such as Brazil, but the costs are prohibitive, with Brazil asking for $5 million to travel to South Africa. Speaking on the opening day of camp ahead of the friendly matches against Panama, ranked 33rd in the world, Bruce said Argentina had been an option, but demanded $5.7 million to play in Johannesburg. He added Panama too is not coming to South Africa for free.
So Lydia, the CEO, told me, yes, Brazil want to play against us. I said, oh, very good, why not in May? Yeah, they asked $5 million to come. A few months ago, Argentina want to play also in Johannesburg against us. €5 million. You understand? It's easy to say, why not that? Why not that? So Panama is not coming free either. You have to pay also. They are coming, yes, but not only the trip or whatever, no. You have to pay a sum of money to come here and to play 2 games.
Well, good news in this camp is that there are no reported injuries after a weekend of club football, and all the players will arrive in camp in good spirits, as Bruce also gave the Sundowns players a day off after returning from CAF Champions League duty in Mali this past weekend. And also the overseas trio of Bongoguhle Hlongwane, Samkelo Kabini, as well as Mbegezeli Mbogazi are expected to arrive in camp today.
It was not really a day either to train, and that's why I decided also that Sundowns players don't have to be here today. They will do their sponsor, obligations tomorrow. And also Hlongwane, Maseko and Kabini will arrive tomorrow morning. At breakfast the group will be complete and we can start the preparation for the 2 games against Panama.
French football legend Zinedine Zidane has reportedly agreed to become the next head coach of the national team following the FIFA World Cup tournament. According to ESPN, the 53-year-old has reached a verbal agreement with the French Football Federation to replace Didier Deschamps, who had led Le Bleu since 2012. Zidane, a three-time FIFA World Cup Player of the Year and 1998 Ballon d'Or winner, guided Real Madrid to 3 consecutive Champions League titles during his managerial career. As a player, though, he inspired France to the World Cup glory in 1998 and also helped his side finish as runner-ups in 2006 when he was sent off in the final against Italy. And finally, 6-time major winner Iga Swiatek has parted ways with coach VM Fessetti following her early exit from the Miami Open. Fessetti joined Swiatek's team in October of 2024 and helped her claim her first Wimbledon title in July of last year. Now, the 24-year-old added 2 more WTA Tour titles at Seoul as well as Cincinnati, while also working with the Belgian just last year. However, she has had a poor start to the season and failed to advance to past the quarterfinals of all 4 tournaments that she's participated in 2026. Swiatek was knocked out of the second round at the Miami Open last Thursday when she was stunned by her Polish compatriot as well as the world number 50 Magda Linette. It is also the first time in 74 tournaments that Swiatek, who received a first-round bye, has lost her opening match at a WTA Tour event. And that's a wrap from the sports desk at this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, remember to send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Big conversations about Africa's climate future are coming to Johannesburg.
Africa's future is on the agenda. Don't miss your place in the conversation.
Channel Africa, in partnership with Wits Business School, presents Africa Matters. Climate change. Financing Africa's recovery on the 25th of March. Join us live.
We are excited to be broadcasting live this Wednesday at the Africa Matters Summit.
Do join us there. It's going to be a very wonderful gathering of Africans.
Broadcasting directly from Wits Business School. Real conversations. Real solutions.
So join the conversation.
Africa Matters.
Be part of the conversation.
Only on Channel Africa. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Thank you, Musibudi. Let's move on and get our latest business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa. Good morning. Our top business story this hour: Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni will travel to Algeria this week as Rome looks to secure alternative gas supplies amid prolonged disruptions in deliveries from Qatar. Italian Energy Minister Gilberto Pichetto Fratin says the Prime Minister will be in Algiers tomorrow. Algeria is one of the countries Italy is in talks with to secure gas supplies after Iranian strikes on Qatar appear to have halted its exports for an extended period. The minister says Italian state-controlled energy companies are taking to suppliers from Algeria, the United States and Azerbaijan to receive more gas, and that government is trying to assist them. Kenya Airways says demands for seats on its flights has jumped due to the effects of war in the Middle East, with most of the gains coming from Europe, the US and Asia. The US-Israeli war in Iran has upset the global aviation industry, prompting some airlines to raise fares and change their schedules to reduce stops at airports in the Middle East or to cancel flights altogether. Kenya Airways says demands for seats on its flights, known as load factor, is now almost at 100% from around 70% in January. A full bench of the High Court in Cape Town will continue hearing a review application today that has been brought by environmental activists and fishing communities opposed to government's environmental authorization to Total Energies for oil and gas exploration off South Africa's west coast. The Okatoa Fisheries Cooperative, the Green Connection and Natural Justice say the approval process was flawed and inconsistent with the country's National Environmental Management Act. The small-scale fishers say the drilling in the deep Western Orange Basin will have negative implications for marine ecosystems, which are under threat due to climate change. This is what they had to say.
We as fishers cannot afford that they come and destroy our beautiful ocean, because we have a lot of marine resources that we as fishers depend on, especially the sloop. We can see already in Namibia that are next to us in Bernollet, already from that oil and gas drilling that they done in Namibia, already have an impact on us as fishers.
It's all about Total Energies. It's all about the Department of Mineral Resources and Energies making decisions without us.
The first Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress Party, Nomvula Mokonyane, has called on all South Africans to support Cuba following a blockade of oil to reach Havana. The Caribbean country has suffered 3 major blackouts this month. This after a U.S. fuel blockade cut off foreign oil imports, which are required to keep power stations running. Mokonyane spoke to the SABC in Pretoria at the Battle of Cueto Cuanavalo commemoration.
The price of bread is going to escalate, all because of, imperialist aggression. And imperialist aggression is about dominance of one against the other. Your neighbor coming in and wanting to take over on your family affairs. That is what America is doing. That is what America is up to. Where you find a neighbor coming and want to flatten your home and kill your children. That's what Israel is doing. Should we all keep quiet? No, we can't.
The Trump administration says it will pay the French energy giant Total Energies nearly $1 billion to cancel plans to build wind farms off the U.S. East Coast. This as a fuel crisis triggered by the war in Iran drives up global fossil fuel prices. The U.S. Interior Secretary Douglas Burgum says the French company Total Energies would invest in oil and natural gas projects in Texas and elsewhere in the U.S.
We're partnering with Total Energies to unleash nearly $1 billion that was tied up in a lease deposit that was directed towards the prior administration's subsidies that were pushing expensive weather-dependent offshore wind. With this agreement, we're allowing this great company to redirect those dollars that have been paid into the Treasury towards affordable, reliable, and secure oil and natural gas production.
And now taking a look at the indicators, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,366 naira this morning. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 50. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 59. And in Zambia, it's 19 kwacha 48. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 28 this morning. Russia, 82 rubles 40. India, it's 93 rupees 52. China 6 yuan 88, and South Africa $1 is trading at 16 rand 96 cents this morning. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,338 per ounce, platinum $1,827 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $103.87 a barrel. And that's the business news. I'll be back with another update in the next hour. In the meantime, if you have any stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music @channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Bébé, tu sais que sans toi, moi je n'ai pas de vie. Je ferai tout pour toi, t'as pas besoin de le dire. Et si je t'ai fait du mal, Nika, baby, I'm sorry. Je te porterai dans mon cœur jusqu'à mon dernier souffle. Even in the light, t'es ma baby pour maman. Tu me combles de joie, je t'aimerai toute ma life. Et une vraie relation, ça joue à deux, wallah. Hey, hey. My baby, qui brille des mille feux. Namana ne mine ne tourne donc pour la diffusa. Et qu'elle ne mine parce qu'elle est biga guara. Nega nega funa bali vivan. Minkani ne abukende. Ali aturu fade. Ali bene nege nege. Na bali vivan. Minkani ne abukende. Ali aturu fade. Enfin, moi j'ai eu mon âme seule. Enfin, j'ai eu celle qui me fallait. Baby, sulla menda me suga solo che sono volare. Nina canondero baby, nei già mirare. I cana tutte jamais, nene kune vive. Ala beni koina, baby, ni koimbana. Nya baby, ya ba. Ella te bastena. Dime dunga nintela. Wa koimuda baliva.
This is Seydou Che Ogechi is the name of this one. It's 9:47 Central Africa time. You're listening to On the Move. Yeah, we're speaking on the conversation of divorce and some of the legal things and the financial things that you should be paying attention to. You know, I'm so glad that attorney Tato Mahapa, who was speaking to us on this conversation, was like, I always advise the people who come to me to go for counseling because, yes, it is a very emotional time, but sometimes our emotions have us making decisions that sometimes need to be outside of the emotional spectrum. So, you know, we see it all the time, I think, in the movies, you know, because I've never been in a divorce court, thank goodness. And people will say, you know what, I'm so tired. This person has drained my soul. This whole thing is draining me. You can take everything. But you actually don't realize that some of those emotional times or those texts or, you know, those messages that come from an emotional place could actually, you know, put you on the legal back burner when it comes, you know, to inside the courtroom.
Yeah. And I also think people must think clearly when they decide to divorce. I think people think it's like a flippant process. And how we throw divorce in society is like something that it's quick to do, it's easy, but it's so taxing.
Yeah.
So I think people don't consider divorce as the complete last option of separation, which it should be. I think we think it's just something that happens without any legal implications. I think that's just how we throw divorce around in pop culture. It's like, it's just a separation. No, it's got so many legal, social, emotional implications that you have to consider when you go into that place, and then you go through that process. I know a lot of people who've been through divorces would tell you that it is so difficult.
Yeah.
You feel the remnants of it even 3 years down the line, that, you know what, that was the most difficult thing I've ever been through in my life.
Absolutely. And it's not an easy thing at all. So, but sometimes, there are so many instances where it has to happen. You just need to understand that it isn't just an emotional process of removing yourself from the spouse that you want to separate from, but it's also a highly legal and financial process. And of course, it doesn't just strain the two people. It might strain your family members, your children, if you have any. So yeah, it is something to take very, very deeply into consideration. It's 9:50 Central Africa time. You can have your say. We are streaming live on Facebook, that's Channel Africa, and we're streaming live on YouTube at Channel Africa 1.
Growing with Africa for 60 years. Channel Africa celebrates 2026 with the African perspective. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, says the surge to stronger external fundamentals and a series of policy reforms have helped restore confidence in the currency market. He noted that the improvement reflects increased foreign exchange inflows, more effective reserves management, and a renewed capacity to meet external obligations.
The larger foreign reserves is super good for considering the number of volume of foreign transactions that is being done by Nigeria. So it's a good indication. A second one is that it also gives the country an opportunity to be able to access the foreign reserves when they need it for maybe urgent, maybe infrastructural or any kind of developmental project.
Dennis O'Shea, a certified financial modeling and valuation analyst.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Woo, that is a classic of note. Dorothy Masuka with Kwa Mama Zala. It's 9:55 Central Africa time. We can keep that conversation going, speaking about divorce or separation. And it's true, like if you haven't been divorced yourself, but if you've been around people who have experienced a divorce, they will tell you. They will tell you just how straining that process is. And I think, you know, the things that happen before marriage, right? There's that premarital counseling. Some people want a counselor, a therapist, a traditional or spiritual person to give them premarital counseling. And these are people that sort of tell you what expect, right? What to expect in the marriage. This is how you deal with conflict, etc. But there's nobody there. there's nobody there. There's no post-marital preacher, traditional healer, counselor who comes and says, okay, now that you guys are deciding to separate, this is what you can expect during the divorce process. And I think it's kind of unfair because you have so much support there's so much support pushing towards the direction of marriage. Society saying marriage is a beautiful thing. All the people that come to your wedding, Abo Mama, the men, the women who come and have to speak to you during the traditional processes on the expectations of marriage. But after that, you're on your own.
Yeah, I mean, you can consider that's true, but also I just don't think people use the facilities that they should be using before they consider a divorce, right? Like the same people are actually there. Your family is there, the pastor is there, the counselor is there. It's just when things get really sour, people get sour. So we don't use those resources anymore. And that's one of my things that I think we should start thinking about as society more, about deconstructing and reconstructing our marriages, right? Because if you deconstruct, you can have a season where, things are bad and you can work through those deconstructions and then think about those reconstructions as well. I know there's some circumstances that don't allow that, like an abusive and a violent marriage, right? But I think in other scenarios, you can deconstruct your marriage through counseling, through your pastor, through sitting down, through traditional means with your family, both sides of the family, like we used to back in the day.
I think we still do that. I think those things, those systems still exist.
I don't think people use them enough.
Especially in the African context, there is only so much talk of, and then I spoke to my family, and then we asked the families to come together. And I do think, I don't think people want to get divorced. I think people do try their best to stay within, marriage, especially because society, holds marriage so highly that people and really does look down on divorce. I think still to this day, society does look down on divorce. But there are just some circumstances that, that just push you to the part where that has to happen. Personally, I do advocate for that taking place, right? For divorce to happen when all things have run out, because I think too many people have been found stuck in situations of emotional, social, abusive situations, and situations that have you ending up in a very, very mental states, and also parts that families also, especially children, suffer largely when that isn't really seen as an option. So I do say, divorce is an option, and it should always be seen as an option, just in my own personal perspective, because so many bad things happen to people because of society telling you to hold on to marriages even when it's at your own breakdown. But yes, we should be looking at the ways in which marriages and divorces can find the relevant support systems that we need.
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting one. So I was saying that mediation processes, I think they have kind of being dismantled in many of our situations. I don't think the traditional means are utilized as much as they used to be. I think that's a system that has actually fallen apart. So I disagree with you on that one. So we have differing views here. What do you think about the process of divorce? What should you consider during that process of that separation? Let us know on our WhatsApp number. We'd love to hear from you, get your thoughts on that one. It's a painful conversation. It's not an easy one to have. +27 83 288 6684. Maybe you differ with both of us. Give us your thoughts on that number. It's 10:00 hours Central African time right now. Let's get the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Benjamin. Looking at your top stories, Benin upcoming presidential election campaigning underway, and the US and Iranian officials may meet this week. Your latest news, greetings to our listeners. The ruling party candidate in Benin's upcoming presidential election has vowed to create municipal police forces in northern border towns to defend against persistent attacks from jihadist groups. Romuald Wadagni, who has been finance minister under President Patrice Talon since 2016, also said Benin had no choice but to work with neighboring countries to address security challenges. This is as insurgents active in the Sahel rapidly increase their attacks on the borderlands between Niger, Benin and Nigeria. Wadagni unveiled his political platform ahead of the April 12th election, in which he seems the strong favorite. Former Kenyan Foreign Minister Raphael Tuju has been arrested. This is a day after he was reported to have disappeared, which led to fears he may have been abducted. Just before his arrest, Tuju had told local station Citizens TV that he had gone into hiding after being followed by an unmarked vehicle. The former foreign minister is accused of staging his disappearance. The director of criminal investigations, Muhammad Amid, speaking at a press conference, said Tuju was inside his residence the entire time, describing his disappearance as carefully staged rather than a genuine case of abduction. The case of Bellarmine Mugabe, who is the son of the late former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe and his co-accused Tobias Matonodze, has been postponed to the 17th of April after no plea agreement was reached. The pair appeared briefly in the Alexander Magistrate Court in South Africa this morning. They will remain in custody while negotiations continue. They face charges including attempted murder, illegal firearm possession, and defeating the ends of justice linked to a Johannesburg shooting incident. As World marks World TB Day today, attention is once again turning to TB still being one of the deadliest infectious diseases globally and a major public health challenge across Africa. Countries like Mozambique remain amongst the hardest hit, with more than 100,000 people developing TB each year and thousands of cases still going undiagnosed. Health experts warn that stigma, weak health systems, and now climate-related disruptions are all making the fight even more complex. But there is growing evidence that the community-led approaches supported by digital tools could be a game changer. The senior partnership officer at ADPP Mozambique, Helen Holstrom explains.
What we can see is community engagement. It's really a game changer in the TB response. So when we are seeing people lack information, to involve community leaders and community health workers, that really makes a big difference because they bring a trusted environment to educate the peers in a more simple way. What is TB? How can it be prevented? And when you have the symptoms, what should you do? But also to have community health workers to do the screening and referral and even collecting of the sputum.
And lastly, U.S. media reports that senior officials, including President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and the Vice President J.D. Vance, may meet Iranian officials this week in Pakistan for talks on the ongoing conflict. The BBC's David Willis reports.
It's a little unclear exactly how all this is going to pan out, but the White House is not denying that there are at least talks about talks, and it's pretty clear, given the rise in energy prices, that Donald Trump is looking for an off-ramp in this conflict, given its unpopularity with the American people.
Recapping on your top stories, the ruling party candidate in Benin's upcoming presidential election has vowed to create municipal police forces in northern border towns in order to defend against persistent attacks from jihadist groups. This is as insurgents active in the Sahel rapidly increase their attacks on the borderlands between Niger, Benin and Nigeria. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
All right, we're getting into our second hour of the show. In the Cubicle is with us. This is where we speak about workplace issues. Today, we're going to be discussing something very interesting. Employees abusing the employer is less discussed. In some instances, employees take advantage of trust. So we're going to be looking at that to unpack the abuse and how that looks like. So that should be an interesting one because we always look at things the other way around.
Absolutely. And this here on Channel Africa. Stay connected to Africa and the world with Channel Africa, the international voice of the South African Broadcasting Corporation. Watch or listen anytime, anywhere at channelafrica.co.za or on the Channel Africa mobile app and on SABC Plus or via the DSTV and OpenView audio bouquets. You can also catch us on social media at Channel Africa on Facebook and at Channel Africa 1 on all our other platforms. Channel Africa, first with the African story globally.
Girls in my condo, waiting I want to, I don't know. One if you leave one toto, read the fatigue or night go. Make nobody come my phone, leave me alone. Cause me I want in my zone, no place like home. All my ladies, you know say I no be novice. Shake your body, make me notice. Say from the room to the floor to the kitchen, they will make you babies. Leave it up for many places, baby make you know the babies. tomato, you tomato, you set wala. You know, baby girl, I'm not your set. She say, who be your set? I said, baby girl, I'm none of your friends. Now you are who the contendo. You dey waste my time, you dey scatter my schedule. Come make us spread you. She say she got a rich boy from Barcelona. Microfinance me, I go low now. Call me Pluto boy, got controller. What you doing 8:30? Come over, better call, better money, show promoter. Not talk with I collect for October. I be me Netflix or Dakota. I never lose my composure. When you see me, it's all over. I gonna aesthetic. Call it see me sober. Regarde ma tête, il a porté. J'ai du go. J'ai Regina Daniels. J'ai Rugo. On a mes wallets. Allez, you a bébé. Viens nous faire la vie, bébé. Il qu'on a déjà gagné. Allez, ouais, la fato. Tori Jerry, balé, ouais. Lafia to fuck ya. Vision Lafia. What am I doing? Allez, you a what boga. Bola gaga, bola. Okay, the meat push on my gel. Oh, baby, je m'appelle. Jack carriera to Batalão. Pisce botina, televatano. Como yima pamina. Una too sweet, Mirinda. I'ma be you too bad. Push if I boat, no love too fascisha. With this, your water bomb bomb. Anywhere you there, I go wrong come. She said, make a come on condom.
Zlatan featuring Shali Pupa, Idoes, Terry the Voice. This one is Jersarwa. 10:10 Central Africa time. This is Channel Africa.
Start your day right with Channel Africa Breakfast.
That smells delicious.
Live, 5 days a week.
Channel Africa is proud to host its flagship Thought Leadership Summit, Africa Matters, in partnership with Wits Business School, where experts, policymakers, and thought leaders come together to unpack the biggest issues of our time. This is where ideas meet action, where challenges become opportunities, where Africa's voice takes its rightful place on the global stage. On 25 March 2026, join Channel Africa for Africa Matters, Climate Change Recovery Summit at the Donald Gordon Auditorium, Wits Business School in Parktown, Johannesburg. For more information, go to www.channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app. Be part of the movement. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
All right, let's get into our In the Cubicle feature today, where we look at workplace issues. While workplace discussions often center on employers abusing employees, the reverse, the employee abusing the employer, is less discussed. In some instances, employees may take advantage of trust or organizational systems through fraud, misuse of resources, dishonesty, or intentional underperformance. This can also extend to the direct abuse of managers, including insubordination, intimidation, or even persistent disrespect that undermines leadership. Lisa Matomola is back on our In the Cubicle feature, an HR consultant and career and job finder coach, all the way from Namibia. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for helping us on our In the Cubicle once again.
Thank you, Benjamin, and good morning to everyone, and good morning, Palesa.
Yeah, you know what? Every time I hear your voice, I'm like, yes, we're going to talk. And I always love how vibrant you are when it comes to these matters. Lisa, we most of the time work in countries whereby we've got great policies that protect employees, right? And at times employees can use that protection as a way to leverage either laziness, insubordination, or just straight up abuse. We never talk a little about this, right? Why not? Because one would say maybe it doesn't occur as much, but do we have evidence of that?
Thank you very much for that overview. And to be honest, one of the things, even when I started talking about this topic in the workplace, it was a bit uncomfortable. You know, when you feel a bit ashamed, you feel people are going to judge you. So it's a very sensitive topic to talk about in the workplace. Abuse, nobody wants to talk about abuse, whether it's the same way people abuse in relationships, it's the same way in the workplace. People feel that maybe if I speak up, if I open up, people might think I am overthinking things. Or at times people may feel that I am the problem, especially the victims. They always conclude that they are probably the problem, or maybe they are not performing enough, and they tend to overanalyze. And in the end, they end up not talking about it, and that silence actually breeds more cases, and it leads to things just becoming normal in the workplace. So we normalize, despite the policies or laws, legislation that is in the workplace to safeguard employees in the workplace, they end up being abused because there isn't that opportunity where people, or platforms where employees can actually open up, or somebody say, you know what, if this happens to you, let's talk, and it's okay to talk.
Yeah. You know, Lisa, the reason why most of the time the conversations that take place would be management or employers abusing employees is because there are power dynamics within the structure. But when it's the other way around, it's hard to rely on those power dynamics. So in what ways in some organizations have employees abused sometimes their direct managers or their employers?
Thank you very much, Palesa. And whenever I talk about corporate bullying, people often think it's one-sided and they only look at the one factor of the management. But it does happen from employees. We call it bottom up, when junior or those in lower levels abuse those in supervisory or anyone in senior. And they do this by either gossiping about the managers. Suppose somebody was recruited, they were hired, or they were promoted, so they will start spreading rumors about this manager. They discredit their competency, so they will often label them as incompetent. They think that they don't know what they're doing. And I'll give an example. In cases where, let's say, somebody's finance, IT, and HR, depending on the size of the organization, but maybe they are more finance experts as opposed to HR and IT, you find that the ones that are more junior, they think this manager was just hired because they're related to somebody else. So they tend to spread those rumors, and they forget that when it comes to leadership, sometimes it's not about the technical competencies that get people there. Of course it matters, but it's the leadership and the emotional intelligence, the ability to bring teams together. Another way employees bully those in supervisory roles is by refusing to do the work. So you're given assignments, they rather not say anything. When there are meetings, they disrupt or interrupt all the time. They keep going back. You know, instead of us moving forward, somebody reminds you of a time when Tambo Beki was president. You know, they tell us when we were here, when we were in the old building and those kind of stuff. So they tend to be aggressive at times. They can even, if maybe with the new managers, young managers joining the workplace, they tell you that I'm older than your mother, or before you joined this company, before you were born. So they also tend to threaten a lot when it comes to that. So there are various ways in which, and in some cases, for employees that have been in the organization for a very long time, we call it seniority, where they use the longevity they've been in the workplace to actually bully employees, to say, you found us here, you know, and you're going in Namibia, they actually say, you found us here and you're going to leave us here. And there's always that resistance. So they're not open to new ideas. Whatever you suggest, they just shoot down your ideas. For some, because they are so well connected and they have been there for a long time, they have that power. without a position, so they tend to mobilize others and make sure that whatever initiative there is resistance, they can write letters to unions and just make the workplace unbearable.
You know, it's not just said in Namibia, it's also said here in South Africa, that phrase, you find us here, you will leave us here, right? And some people mistake that as standing up for myself as an employee. I'm standing for my own rights, right? I can just hear someone saying that. How do you balance that too, of the abuse and the fact that you could be standing for yourself?
Thank you very much. And maybe what I can also add on is that the bottom-up bullying happens at a very lower percentage. Statistics estimate about 6%, and that is because the policies actually come into play, whether it's the labor law or the HR policies. So when employees tend to do that, managers can easily lodge a grievance, and there can be a disciplinary hearing. There's insubordination that can take place. So there are measures in place that can safeguard the managers, but also for employees. If you're not happy about something, there are platforms, there are channels, there are ways in which you can also, as an employee, if you're not happy about something, you can also lodge a grievance. Grievance is not just one-sided. It can be from both parties, whether it's the employer, the employee, or the supervisor, or the subordinate. So it's also important for employees to familiarize themselves with the processes and procedures, because at the end of the day, I often say that there's only one king and queen in the workplace, and that is the boss. Regardless of what they might be doing, they might have good intentions, but because of the approach. So the what you do is not the problem, it's the how you do it. Perhaps you're raising a very logical concern or something that really is important and makes sense, but because of the manner in which it's done, the supervisor or the management or whoever is dealing with the matter, because of that aspect, they might find it might look like you are the problem. So it's always very important, and also to use the best approach and find the right way to follow the processes without looking like you're bullying somebody.
All right, Lisa, we're going to take a break. Stay with us on the line. We'll continue speaking about the abuse of management and employers in institutions after the break.
6 decades of rhythm, resonance, and relevance. We are Channel Africa, the African perspective. Late night with African stories that matter. Tsepiso Makwetla on Africa World Hour.
I mean, we're seeing South Africa face challenges in the enforcement of an NHI plan. The Minister of Health is contending with legal action. There might be a will, but there would be opposition. And what is most important is the issue of equitable health services. How do we make sure that those policies translate into that?
Let me just give you a real example. In 1926, Japan started to discuss about primary healthcare and universal health coverage. By 1961, Japan was fully with universal health coverage. Do you know how long they live? They've got the longest lifespan in the world. So it's not theory anymore. In any country during COVID, if you remember 4 years ago, which fared well, there are those countries which had a very strong primary healthcare system. Because when we say health sovereignty, it's not about closing the doors to the partners. No, this is a process. But we need to give where our priorities, what can we do more with less.
Regional Director for Africa, Professor Mohammed Jaffe.
Late night with Tsepiso Makwetla. End your day inspired by Africa World Hour on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
We continue speaking to HR consultant and career and job finder coach Lisa Matomola, speaking about abuse in the workplace, but however, the other way around, abuse of employers, managers by their subordinates. We also highlight the real consequences of employee misconduct and how organizations can navigate this. Lisa, let's speak about the navigation process, because it is hard sometimes to prove some of the subtle abuses that can take place, like, as a manager, someone in your team who doesn't want to work, and you know that they threaten you, and so you can't actually have them implement the work. But those are some of the things that are hard to prove in those instances. If you are a manager and you're starting to feel these abuses, especially the ones that are subtle and aren't recorded, what do you do?
Thank you very much for that, Palesa. And it's really, when it comes to corporate bullying, it's always very hard to prove, as you just mentioned. But there are ways that we can correct this undesired, because we call it undesired behavior. So the role of the manager, especially in organization where there is performance management system, because performance management is not just about reward and recognition. We also use it to correct behavior. We say it's not a punishment tool, but correct undesired behavior. So these counterproductive behaviors that we see. So if somebody is always interrupting meetings and all this, sometimes it's also very important to have a conversation. Of course, such bullies, you don't want to expose them on a public platform or in a meeting where everybody is. Calling them in a meeting, in a private meeting, or we call them one-on-one session, and just understand, giving them the opportunity to say, when this meeting was happening, can you give me a background in terms of what that happened? So it's also very important for managers, the moment you notice this behavior very early, because when you wait too long, it has become a norm, it has become a practice. So the person finds it okay, and other employees can actually also start joining the clique and think this is normal behavior. So correcting it very early and not ignoring it, and having those crucial conversation. I call them crucial and difficult conversation, as much as hard as they may be, but also just highlighting and also telling the employee or whoever it is that in this team, this is what we stand for. And it's very important to remind employees of the company values, because that's what guides us. That's what we live for. We call it living the company values. So if somebody disrespects somebody, if you interrupt me in a meeting, and also making reference to certain situation, because sometimes when it's also generic, people might act shocked, like, Benjamin, I don't understand, or I don't have a clue of what you're saying. So to say on Monday, when we had meetings about Channel Africa production, something, so that people can also know. And also it's very important to document, because one of the missing aspects from corporate bullying is the evidence. So whether it's recording what happened, what transpired, is very, very important. And when it comes to work related, setting clear expectations to say, Palesa, as an employee in this team, we expect you to come on radio by this time, and we want to make sure that your script and everything is aligned, and having continuous conversations so that employees can also express themselves. How did you feel about the interview? Or why is it that our guest didn't appear? Why didn't you respond to this and this? And also telling them the impact of their behavior, not just on me, because what we do is not for us, it's actually for our customers, for our stakeholders, for other colleagues as well, and what we stand for. So, and not just that individual, but claiming that voice in the meetings, or the company actually allowing to say, this is what we stand for. And I had an executive was going through that, and I just told her, like, you need to claim back your position. We're not saying bully them back, but just tell them and say, I'm here to support you, I'm here to guide you, and this is my leadership style. How would you like me to lead you? And that way, they might not immediately, but everybody has a conscience, and they will start reflecting. And where necessary, we lodge that disciplinary and talk about that behavior, so that they can also explain why they did what they did.
Yeah, earlier on you were speaking about gossiping, and that's something that is sinister. It's a little bit more background, it's more quiet, it's embedded in a culture, it's not overt, and things can actually be determined by that gossip in the background. And you hear people saying, some people are saying in the corridors that you are doing this and that, but they don't say who the people were saying that are, right? How do you change that? Because that is the thing that really can create a bad culture in a workplace for a leader or an employer.
Thank you very much. And gossip is really something that is hard to correct because but at the end of the day, I'll go back to the organizational culture. So who are we? What do we want to known for? And there's also the most common way where it says do to others what you want others to. We call it I forgot the actual word, the principle to say do to others what you want others to do unto you. So we need to have I remember employer 10 small things that every employee of this company need to live by. So if you know that you don't have to spread rumors about somebody, you mustn't talk about other people. And in the company that I worked for, we actually had what we called guilt-free conversation. So if myself and somebody else are going through certain stuff, instead of us going to talk to others, we call it each other in a meeting and we talk about the situation. Of course, the idea is not to attack somebody and to walk away without catching feelings. So it's about resolving the conflict, but also teaching people to have conversations, because often gossip happens when we don't have psychologically safe environments where people can speak up without being victimized. So for managers, if and because some people are also gossiping you, it's also very important to take cognizance of the fact that if somebody is coming to tell me what somebody said about me, what did they say? So that is also something that, like, why are you coming to tell me? Because the other people can also start to build ally. Everybody has an agenda in the workplace. So also remaining neutral and just investigating how things are. At the end of the day, the company culture, we need to really be vocal. Culture is the way we do things every day. And they say culture is the vibe, the tone at the top and the vibe at the bottom. So what happens in management, it's experience at employee level. So we want to make sure that that leadership message comes across. And when certain things happen, the one challenge I can highlight, Benjamin, is that sometimes these behaviors but nothing is being done. So when we also start, I don't want to say penalizing people, but correcting them, others will also see to say, okay, so if this happens, there's actually consequences that can lead to this. So we need to know. And also induction, when new employees join, tell them to say, here, this is what we do. These are the do's and the don'ts. So the code of ethics is very important. Workplace.
Lisa, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to unpack these conversations with you. Really quickly, where can we find you?
You can find. Thank you for the discussion. You can find me on LinkedIn, Lisa Matomola. I am on X, Twitter. I am also on TikTok. I actually had series on the topic, all three different levels of bullying. I'm on Instagram as well and Facebook. But for those who like TikTok, I do videos on workplace issues on TikTok.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much for giving us your time. And it's always good to have you on the show. And you know what? It's an interesting one, this one, because we think the power dynamics are always on the leadership, right? That was Lisa Matomola, who's an HR consultant and career and job finder coach based in Namibia, South Africa. Stay in touch. You can give us your commentary on those live streams. Remember, we are live on our Facebook page, Channel Africa, and also on the YouTube page at Channel Africa 1. Hey, let's move on. It's 10:31 Central African time. It's time for sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It's a very good morning from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So we'll start here. Senegal midfielder Idrissa Gueye says his side deserved to be Africa Cup of Nations champions despite CAF's decision to strip them of the title and award it to Morocco. So Senegal beat Morocco by 1-0 in extra time in January's final in Rabat, but CAF then punished the team for a 15-minute walk-off during the match, overturning that result. So Idrissa, who captained Senegal in the place of the suspended Kalidou Koulibaly, says he was even willing to hand back the medals if it eased tensions, but insisted titles are won on the pitch and not in the offices. The federation has appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to make sure that Senegal remains as the African champions, though Idrissa said he would have preferred not to contest the ruling by taking it, of course, to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. We'll stay with football news. Ivory Coast striker Nicolas Pepe has earned recall to the national squad after teenage forward Yann Dormande was ruled out for this month's World Cup warm-up matches through injury. Pepe, who was left out of the Africa Cup of Nations tournament earlier in the year, has scored 5 La Liga goals for Villarreal this season and also last featured for the Elephants in October. The 30-year-old sparked controversy soon after with comments about Morocco's World Cup Cup of Nations record, and later apologizing while claiming he faced racial abuse online. Now the Ivory Coast will face South Korea in Milton Keynes on Saturday, and then Scotland and Liverpool on the 31st of March as they prepare for Group E clashes at the World Cup, where they will face the likes of Ecuador, Germany, as well as Sierra. Meanwhile, Hugo Broos, the head coach of the South African men's national football team Bafana Bafana, has revealed they would have loved to face the likes of Brazil, world top footballing nations, but the costs are prohibitive, with Brazil having asked for $5 million to come to South Africa. Now, speaking on the opening day of camp ahead of friendly matches against Panama, who are ranked 33rd in the world, Bruce said Argentina was also an option, but they demanded $5.7 million to play in South Africa. Now, he added that Panama, too, are not coming to South Africa for free.
So Lydia, the CEO, told me, yes, Brazil want to play against us. I said, oh, very good, why not in May? Yeah, they asked $5 million to come. A few months ago, Argentina want to play also in Johannesburg against us. €5 million. You understand? It's easy to say, why not that? Why not that? So Panama is not coming free either. You have to pay also. They are coming, yes, but not only the trip or whatever, no. You have to pay a sum of money to come here and to play 2 games.
On to athletics news now. South Africa's athletes found the going tough in the field events in the final day of the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. Aidan Smith finished 15th in the men's shot put event with a throw of 19.07 meters, as New Zealand's Tom Walsh claimed his 4th world indoor title with a throw of 21.82 meters. In the men's long jump event, 19-year-old Temiso Masekane placed 16th with a 7.37 meters, with Luvo Mayonga failing to register a mark. Portugal's Gerson Blade took gold in 8.46 meters. Now, the acting Athletics South Africa president John Matane said the athletes will reflect and work hard to improve after a challenging day out in Poland. And finally, 6-time major winner Iga Swiatek has parted ways with her coach VM Fessetti following her early exit from the Miami Open. Fessetti joined Swiatek's team in October of 2024 and helped her claim her first Wimbledon title in July. The 24-year-old added 2 more WTA Tour titles at Seoul as well as Cincinnati, while also working with the Belgian last year. However, she had a poor start to the season and then failed to advance past the quarterfinals at the all 4 tournaments that she competed in so far in 2026. Swiatek was knocked out in the second round of the Miami Open when she was stunned by her Polish counterpart as well as the world number 50, Magda Linette. It was the first time in 74 tournaments that Swiatek, who received a first-round bye, had lost her opening match in a WTA Tour event. It concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Big conversations about Africa's climate future are coming to Johannesburg.
Africa's future is on the agenda. Don't miss your place in the conversation.
Channel Africa, in partnership with Wits Business School, presents Africa Matters. Climate change. Financing Africa's recovery on the 25th of March. Join us live.
We are excited to be broadcasting live this Wednesday at the Africa Matters Summit.
Do join us there. It's going to be a very wonderful gathering of Africans.
Broadcasting directly from Wits Business School. Real conversations. Real solutions.
So join the conversation.
Africa Matters.
Be part of the conversation.
Only on Channel Africa.
Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Once again, it's time for our latest business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa. Good morning. Our top business story this hour. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni will travel to Algeria this week as Rome looks to secure alternative gas supplies amid prolonged disruptions in deliveries from Qatar. Italian Energy Minister Gilberto Pichetto Fratin says the Prime Minister will be in Algiers tomorrow. Algeria is one of the countries Italy is in talks with to secure gas supplies after Iranian strikes on Qatar appear to have halted its exports for an extended period. The minister says Italian state-controlled energy companies are talking to suppliers from Algeria, the United States and Azerbaijan to receive more gas, and that the government is trying to assist them. Kenya Airways says demand for seats on its flights has jumped due to the effects of war in the Middle East, with most of the gains coming from Europe, the US and Asia. The US-Israeli war on Iran has upset the global aviation industry, prompting some airlines to raise fares and change their schedules to reduce stops at airports in the Middle East or to cancel flights altogether. Kenya Airways says demands for seats on its flights, known as load factor, is now almost at 100% from around 70% in January. South Africa's Motor Industry Staff Association, MISA, says it's agreed with the Deputy President Paul Mashatile that workers need support to adapt to artificial intelligence. Mashatile is challenging labour federations to develop a digital workers' charter. He warns that AI can improve efficiency but demands new skills and could reshape jobs. MISA spokesperson Pakamile Hlubi Majola says they will engage with employers to ensure that they prioritize worker retraining and upskilling in the face of AI adaptation.
We accept the challenge that the Deputy President has put before Labour. It's really important that workers should be at the forefront of designing and driving policy around AI. If you look at the research that's been done on AI, the reports are suggesting that as many as 85 million jobs could be lost as a result of AI by 2030. So our focus will be to expand targeted skilling and expand learning opportunities for members, where we will be prioritizing practical job-relevant training and partnerships with training providers to ensure that no member is left behind.
The Economic Development and Tourism Portfolio Committee chairperson in South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province, Mafika Mdebele, says spaza shop owners will soon be able to buy stock in bulk and at much cheaper rates. Mdebele has been commenting ahead of the committee's visit to assess the success of financial support for spaza shops in the province known as Zimele Traders Fund. A total budget of almost $590,000 has been set aside for this initiative, aimed at reaching 500 spaza shops throughout the province. The committee will today and tomorrow visit spaza shops in Jozini, Mandeni, Umdoni and eThekwini as part of this joint initiative with Itala Development Finance Corporation. Mdebele says an agreement with food giant tiger brands, as well as small farmers, has been reached, and this will enable spaza shops to do business with ease.
One of the things that was raised by our traders is that foreign nationals are able to sell at a cheaper rate because they are able to buy in bulk, whereas they cannot be able to do that. We have then recommended that this Zimele trade must also include warehouse, which should be distributed across districts, where different local traders will be able to go there and get their goods very cheap. Already the agreement has been reached with Tiger Brand, including now working with certain small farmers so that they are able to bring their products in the warehouse, and then our traders are able to then access them cheap.
Analysts say the markets are unconvinced about U.S. President Donald Trump's statement about negotiations with Iran. He was contradicted by the Speaker of Iran's parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, who has denied that any negotiations have taken place with the United States, adding that it was a ploy to manipulate the markets. The price of Brent crude has risen again above $100 a barrel. The BBC's Nick Marsh has the details.
The price of Brent crude has been ticking up. It's around that $103, $104 mark. The reason for this increase in the price of oil that we're seeing today in Asia trade, you'd assume, can be put down to the fact that Tehran has completely denied the existence of these talks, let alone talks that have progressed to the point where there's a cessation of hostilities even on the table. So if you're a trader here, you're looking at, maybe optimistic mood music, coming out of the White House, and then you're seeing statements coming out of Tehran saying it's fake news.
Now taking a look at the indicators, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,366 naira this afternoon, and this morning in Botswana it's at 13 pula 50. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 59, and in Zambia it's 19 kwacha 48. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 28. Russia is 82 rubles 40. India 93 rupees 52. In China it's 6 yuan 88, and South Africa $1 is trading at 16 rand 96 cents this morning. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,338 per ounce, platinum $1,827 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $103.87 a barrel. And that's the business news. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Inaelezwa kwamba serikali kule visiwani Zanzibar imetangaza mpango mkubwa wa kuweza kurejesha urithi unaoungwa mkono na uwekezaji wa sekta ya umma na binafsi yenye thamani ya dola milioni 12. Unadhani sasa Zanzibar imeamua kujipambanua yenyewe kama yenyewe?
Hizi ni habari njema kwanza katika kuongeza uwekezaji kwenye sekta ya utalii, ngoni mwa sekta mama kwa serikali ya mapinduzi ya Zanzibar.
Pengine unawaambia nini Watanzania walioko nje ya Tanzania na walioko ndani kuweza kuzitizama fursa hizi kwa jicho la pili na kuweza kuwekeza ndani?
Jambo hili lina mtazamo mpana. Cha kwanza ni aina ya maisha ambayo baadhi ya watu visiwani Zanzibar wamekuwa nayo, na hii ni kutokana na ile colonial legacy, ile kutawaliwa na wenzetu wametawaliwa na masultani.
Darubini ya Afrika kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 11 kamili hadi saa 12 kamili jioni majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
On the Move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday. Only on Channel Africa. #On the Move.
Ginger
Monaco and to the Nile. Ginger me with power and humility, oh, ginger me, boy. Ginger me with your love. Ginger me slowly, your soul. Ginger me slowly. Take your time, hold me closer, show me your heart, and I'll show you mine. Slow it down, hold me longer. I'll be your girl if we do it slowly. Ginger me with unexpected kisses and a dance. Ginger me with breakfast in bed for just us two. Ginger me with dreams of love and faithfulness. Ginger me, boy, with your heart, boy. Ginger me slowly, your soul. Ginger me slowly. Slow down, 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 slow
Ginger Me Slowly. I think it's one of my favorite songs. This one is So Me Love
This
It.
one, it's
a beautiful
just
song.
super mellow. Karre Sunday.
All right.
That's
Is
Sunday
it like a
vibe.
Sunday morning? It's 10:50 Central Africa time.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. This March, escape to the Friendship Village for a premium festival experience like no other. The Montreux Jazz Festival experience brings together more than 30 exceptional local and international acts, including Robert Glasper with Bilal, Stacey Kent, Salif Keita, Tandiswa Mazwai, and Mandisa Janjis. From the 27th to the 29th of March 2026, indulge in world-class music, culture, and luxury. Book your ticket now at ticketmaster.co.za or visit mjfsa.com. The Montreux Jazz Festival French Hook, where timeless music meets timeless beauty. The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Téléchargez l'application Channel Africa sur votre Play Store ou Apple Store afin de pouvoir suivre toutes nos émissions en direct de là où vous vous trouvez. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Down.
Hey, Trezo and Saki always make such a great duo. They have quite a number of songs together, but every time they come together to make a song, it's always so beautiful. This one is Sondela with Trezo and Msaki. Well, we're moving on into the next hour of the show, but don't forget that you can still engage us on the conversations we've had. We had a really intimate conversation about divorce and some of the things that you need to keep in mind when you are going through those processes or even thinking about going through those processes, highly legal, highly financial consequences to that particular process. And then we just went in the cubicle where we spoke about abuse in the workplace, but not the abuse of the employees as we usually think it happens, but the other way around, abuse of management, abuse of employers as well. You can always engage us on those conversations. Comment with us live on our social media platforms. We are at Channel Africa 1 on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube, where we are streaming live, and of course just Channel Africa on Facebook.
Yeah, you are listening to Channel Africa. Should that be the new?
No. No. But go ahead. It's okay.
All right, man. We're going to go into our Money Matters feature later on. You know, there's a lot of global tensions that are happening in the world, and they can feel like abstract and like you don't know how they fit in when it comes to your personal money, how they affect your grocery bill. We're probably going to see a fuel increase in many African countries with what's happening in Iran. And that's what we're going to be speaking about. We explore how geopolitical conflicts and international trade disruptions translate into real everyday costs and how we can take practical steps to lessen the impact on our household budgets. Hey, already I'm feeling it in the petrol price.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, we don't understand, right? We're going on these social media platforms and we're seeing, the bombs and so on. And yes, our heart reaches out like, oh, this is so terrible for the people, for the civilians. But when we hear that, okay, this affects all of us, we're like, how? Because the bombs are not here.
Yeah.
They're not in my country. So surely I should be fine. I should be safe. But they translate in financial ways. We just don't understand how that means for like our monthly budgets, when we go grocery shopping, buying petrol, moving about, and all those everyday things that we think are untouched by the bombs somewhere in the world. They are actually changing those things. But we're going to find out how. I'm also really interested to find out, how does this actually affect my pocket? Because we want to care, right? A lot of us think that we shouldn't care as much if such things don't affect us, if we're not directly being afflicted, especially we're not in the violent zones. But hey, we are being affected, guys. We just have to really understand what is going on in those spaces. So we're going to find out more in today's Money Matters feature.
All right. On that one, we'll be speaking to another guest that we usually have, Kathleen Moretti, founder of the Wealth Circle. And they are a consultancy firm in Kenya. So we'll see how to navigate the current challenges. The thing is, you think that something is happening very far away from you, right? And it's not going to affect you in any way. It's Iran, man. Where is Iran on the map, by the way? I'm sure you probably don't know. Many of us don't think about it that way because we don't know where this place is, so it won't affect my pocket. But it does. So we'll make those linkages and find us how to cushion ourselves in these trying times. Remember, we don't have just a war that's happening that's only one war. We have even internal wars here on the African continent that also exacerbate some of these situations of how we also going to be affected just by going to the grocery store. So Kathleen will help us on that one. If you have questions on that, remember, we've got different ways that you can stay in touch and that you can stay connected with us right here on Channel Africa. Would love you to hang out with us and give us your thoughts on the different conversations that we've had and the one that we're about to have. +27 83 288 6684 is the best way. Or those comment sections on these live streams. They're very easy to just type on them and just let us know what you think of the show. Holla back at us. Tell us where you are listening to Channel Africa from. So it's easy for you to stay in touch with us right here on Channel Africa. It's 1100 hours Central African time right now. Let's go back to our news team. Onele is standing by for the latest news.
SABC News. the African perspective.
Thank you, Benjamin. Looking at your top stories, Benin upcoming presidential election campaigning underway, and US and Iranian officials may meet this week. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The ruling party candidate in Benin's upcoming presidential election has vowed to create municipal police forces in northern border towns in order to defend against persistent attacks from jihadist groups. Romuald Wadagni, who has been finance minister under President Patrice Talon since 2016, also said Benin had no choice but to work with neighboring countries in order to address security challenges. This is as insurgent activities in the Sahel rapidly increase their attacks on the borderlands between Niger, Benin and Nigeria. Wadagni unveiled his political platform ahead of the April 12th election, in which he seems the strong favorite. No plea agreement has been reached between the defense and the state in the attempted murder case against Bellarmine Mugabe, who is the son of the late former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe, and his co-accused Tobias Matonodze. The two appeared briefly in the Alexander Regional Court north of Johannesburg in South Africa today. They are also facing charges of defeating the ends of justice, possession of a firearm and contravening South Africa's immigration laws. The matter has been postponed to the 17th of April for further investigations. Mugabe's attorney, Sinenhlanhla Mnguni, addressed the media outside the court earlier.
Don't think necessarily unhappy. I just think we haven't found each other as much as we would have liked at this point. I know that you said that yet another postponement, but I think you would have noted from the words of the magistrate that they have marked this as a final postponement for the parties to obviously finalize their negotiations, but also for the state to conclude its negotiations. We've always concluded or conducted ourselves and tried to finalize these negotiations in good faith with the state, and I have no doubt whatsoever that we will ultimately find each other.
South Africa's Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen says his department is well on track to vaccinate 80% of the national herd against foot and mouth disease by December. Steenhuisen is part of a delegation appearing before Parliament's Agricultural Portfolio Committee to provide continuous updates on the outbreak and interventions to control the spread of the disease. Steenhuisen says sufficient vaccines are available for first and secondary dosage.
It is our intention to have vaccinated 80% of the national herd by the month of December. I believe we're on track to do that, and as we committed, we are procuring vaccines now in large batches, and there will be more than enough vaccine to not only do the initial doses, but to do the secondary doses. So I don't want anybody to be under any illusion or misapprehension that there will not be enough vaccines to do the initial shot as well as the booster shot.
South Africa's Border Management Authority Commissioner Dr. Michael Masiapatos says they are winning the fight against illegal immigration at the Bay Bridge port of entry in the Limpopo province. He was speaking during an oversight visit by the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber. Masiapatos says the deployment of law enforcement, body cameras and drones has decreased the number of people apprehended trying to cross the border illegally by nearly 50%.
Yeah, no, definitely. We are very much ready to be able to handle the Easter operations. And in that instance, we can say that our systems are fairly, up and running to make sure that we are able to process all the people that will be coming through. We will be running our operations for 10 days, starting from the 31st of March until the 9th of April. And on that basis, we will definitely deal with the exit leg, with the Apex Day being Thursday just before Good Friday, and ultimately the return leg, the Apex Day being Monday. And therefore, we are very much ready to receive all the people that will be exiting South Africa and those that will be coming back.
Lastly, U.S. media reports say that senior officials, including President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and the Vice President J.D. Vance, may meet Iranian officials this week in Pakistan for talks on the ongoing conflict. The The BBC's David Willis reports.
It's a little unclear exactly how all this is going to pan out, but the White House is not denying that there are at least talks about talks, and it's pretty clear, given the rise in energy prices, that Donald Trump is looking for an off-ramp in this conflict, given its unpopularity with the American people.
Recapping on your top stories, the ruling party candidate in Benin's upcoming presidential election has vowed to create municipal police forces in northern border towns in order to defend against persistent attacks from jihadist groups. This is as insurgents active in the Sahel rapidly increase their attacks on the borderlands between Niger, Benin and Nigeria. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I am Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
It is the third hour of On the Move. We're speaking all things money. You look at some of the geopolitical conflicts that are happening around the world right now and you're like, yeah, this looks like their problem. I'm so glad that I am safe and this doesn't affect me. But actually, it might, and it probably does, financially so. We're finding out how does this translate to everyday practical finances. How does it affect the way that we do our monthly budgets, our groceries, our petrol, and everything in between.
Stay connected to Africa and the world with Channel Africa, the international voice of the South African Broadcasting Corporation. Watch or listen anytime, anywhere at channelafrica.co.za, on the Channel Africa mobile app, or on SABC Plus, or via the DSTV and OpenView audio bouquets. You can also catch us on social media at Channel Africa on Facebook, at Channel Africa 1 on all other platforms. Channel Africa, first with the African story globally.
Zagadat, same time body 10. It's your boy.
It's E. Kelly.
My baby, they confuse me, yo, with that bomb bomb. But she got the guy where they send her money from London. She they see me like a Johnny just come. Yeah. My monkey they walk it, baboon he just the chop. Me I go chop all the washing, as long as you give me my passion. Baby make you know they rush me, I beg you make you treat me with caution. Leg over. My baby give me leg over, hangover. Baby she dey give me hangover, hey, leg over. Oh no, me give me leg over, hey, game over. She dey come give me game over. Hey, I dey confuse you, I dey confused when you turn around, baby you dey make her confused. You do all I like a Cameroon, mesmerize the boy and baby make her confused. Commando, you be commando, you dey command the boy, you take overload. Yeah, I no fit stand alone. I must call my guy, we for rendezvous. Yeah, I go chop all the washing, as long as you give me my passion. Baby make you know they rush me, I beg you make you treat me with caution. Leg over, my baby give me leg over, hangover. Baby she dey give me hangover, hey, leg over. Oh no, me give me leg over, hey, game over. She dey come give me game over. Easy. Hey, my baby they distract me with a bomb bomb. But she got the guy where they send her money from London. She they see me like a Johnny just come. Hey, my monkey they walk it, baboon he just the chop. Me I go chop all the washing, as long as you give me my passion. Baby make you know they rush me, I beg you, make you treat me with caution. Leg over. My baby, give me leg over. Hangover.
Leg Over by Mr. Easy. We're going into our money conversation after this.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
Este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África, com Remo Samo e João Yabalá.
O conflito militar envolvendo o Irão, os Estados Unidos e Israel provocou uma escalada acentuada nos preços do petróleo, especialmente devido à ameaça de interrupção do tráfego pelo Estreito de Hormuz, responsável por cerca de 20% do consumo mundial de crudo. Para países africanos dependentes de importações de energia, esta tensão não é apenas um problema económico, mas também social, com impactos potenciais sobre inflação, custos de produção e acesso a combustíveis essenciais. Para perceber os riscos e possíveis respostas, falamos com o Dr. Lutumba Simão, economista angolano.
Para os países exportadores, vão ficar uma receita mais alta do que previam. E do ponto de vista de custo para as populações, vamos identificar que também pode aumentar a inflação, principalmente naqueles países onde de facto importam o crude e os combustíveis derivados do petróleo bruto.
De segunda a sexta-feira, das 20 às 21 horas locais, este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África.
Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge.
You know, social media has made us witnesses to blow by blow, global tensions across the world, geopolitical conflicts. We're able to see it at a click of a button. We see the videos all over the place. And sometimes it feels like a relief, right? That, I'm so glad I'm not in these particular regions with these conflicts and I am safe. But are you really? We're going to our Money Matters feature because sometimes you're standing at the till and you're wondering why your groceries bill is higher and how your salary is seeming to not stretch as far as it used to. So what happens halfway around the world doesn't just stay there. It does ripple through global markets, supply chains, fuel prices, landing squarely into your household budgets. And today we're finding out how. We're looking at how these geopolitical conflicts and international trade disruptions are translating into real everyday costs and how we can also take those practical steps to lessen their impact on our household budgets. We're joined on the line by a friend of the show, Kathleen Moretti, who's the founder of The Wealth Circle. Kathleen, it's always a pleasure. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Kathleen, you know, sometimes you look on social media, you watch the news, and you do have a little bit of a sigh of relief that, oh my goodness, these things are so terrible, it's so bad, and I'm so glad that I live in a place where I am currently safe. But we also watch the markets, and they're telling us that the markets are higher, something about, an oil path that's being blocked and so on, but we still don't understand how that really affects us. So let's speak about that a little bit. What are some of the things that we are hearing on the outside in the global markets and the supply chains and the fuel prices that we can't really translate to our everyday, our everyday lives?
You know, it's actually a very funny sort of conversation because I was having this with a friend of mine and we were talking about the wars and the tensions that we're seeing. And as Africans, we think that these are faraway problems. But if you look keenly, your grocery bill, your cab fees, they tell a different story. So this basically means Africa is not insulated. It's actually more exposed than most. And in geopolitics, it's more or less like a game of the elites. So in simple terms, it's what happens when countries start wars. We see a lot of sanctions, we see a lot of trade disputes, sometimes alliances, and they're shaped by where these countries are and what they have. So in the 1700s, land was a very key component of this. In the 1900s, oil came into the picture and it's more or less gravitating towards the century that we're living in. So decisions that are made in the US, decisions that are made in China, decisions that are made with countries like Israel and Iran, they don't just stay there. So they travel through the shipping lanes, they travel through the supply chains, and they land in your fuel tank, they land in your grocery bill, in your grocery trolley. And if you look keenly, it's more or less like a timetable. There's usually a certain time where some of these things work. So the question that we need to ask ourselves as far as personal financial management is concerned is, are we really prepared? Because this will happen again. It will continue happening again. It follows a pattern. So it's not something that's random. So what usually happens when it comes now to our pockets, so it follows some sort of a chronological order. So the first thing that's normally hit is the fuel. All right. So we see this through, like, for example, the war risk insurance premiums will rise. The shipping companies will pass that to the price of goods. The price of oil will go up. Oil supply will go down. And then if you look at our local currency, oil is more or less equivalent to the US dollar. All right. So we'll pay for the oil in dollars. Our local currency at this point is very weak. At the exchange rate, we get hit twice. So that affects our pocket. So for a household where the income is irregular, so they're not being protected in terms of medical insurance, in terms of probably regular income at the end of the month, they get hit a lot. All right. So the instability goes deeper. They get to a point where now the irregular income earners are the ones that are usually at the blind spot. They have little to no insurance. They have no investments or savings. So even something as little as a food price rising by about 10%, they can get to experience it 100%. So they get to experience crisis in terms of the fuel, the electricity, the food, the interest rate, especially if credit is a big component of them managing the shortfalls in their household. So in as far as the war is happening in the Middle East, we are affected and we are more exposed as Africans because we are the ones with the natural resources. We are the ones who are exporting a majority of these commodities. These elites are fighting, but we are the ones who are feeling the pain of these wars.
All right, what do we do now? I mean, these wars are happening. We don't have control over them as African citizens. We feel helpless.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and especially at this time, because three key crises are happening. All right, so we have the US-Israel-Iran war, which got to a point where now the Strait of Hormuz was blocked. So what does that mean? It means now oil trade has been blocked. It means that a bigger percentage of the crude oil trade has been blocked. If you look at what's happening at the Red Sea with attacks from Yemen, it means now the Suez Canal has been blocked. So now all shipping companies are rerouting. So they're coming, say, for example, in Kenya, we have a lot of goods from Dubai. So they are rerouting, coming to Kenya, and then now they have to find their way back to Dubai. What does this mean? So we are adding weeks to transit times. We are adding pushing up shipping costs significantly. If you look at intelligence, this is something that could go up to 6 months. So in as much as this situation could probably stir up panic, I think the most important question is, are we prepared for this? As a household, as a country, as an individual, are you really prepared for this? Because there seems to be some sort of a timetable. You remember the Russia-Ukraine war? Yeah. You remember something that happened with Dubai a few years ago. All these things seem to form some sort of timetable. And I will dare say that US is very manipulative. It works in a timetable where now the war seems to be pegged on oil, and then the United States sort of believes that all oil in the world belongs to them. So as long as they have the power, as long as they have the authority to do some of these things will continue happening. So we have to ask ourselves, are we really prepared for this? So what you need to do right now as an individual is, before the next cycle, because now with the whole oil prices going up, with the economies of scale, usually the players, the key stakeholders will sit down and pass on some of these that they are currently buffering to the consumer. All right. So at some point in the next 4 to 6 weeks, you'll realize the price of cooking oil has increased, the price of rice has increased, the price of your cab fee has increased, electricity has increased. So this will happen within the next month, probably towards the end of the month of April. So what you need to do now is buy those non-perishable staples. We all need cooking oil in the house.
Already?
We all need yes, no. Start doing now, because in as much as they're covering us at this point, trying to understand what's going on, there seems to be no end in sight. So what you need to now is stock smart. All right. So buy those non-perishable staples, the oil, the rice, before the next price adjustment cycle hits, which is usually a month once this thing starts to unfold.
Yeah, it
The
feels
next thing
like
that you need to
Armageddon. Let's take a little bit of a break.
Yes,
It feels
yeah.
like the end of the world
I
right
need
now.
to catch my breath.
Yes, please. Okay, we'll be back.
Hashtag on the move and connect with us. Clear your diaries for the 25th of March, 2026. Channel Africa, in partnership with Wits Business School, invites you to a climate change conversation that goes beyond talk. 3 powerful panel discussions, 1 stage, big questions, bold answers. If you care about the future and value honest, intelligent discussions, this is your seat at the table. Join us on March 25 for Africa Matters. Climate change, financing Africa's recovery, only on Channel Africa. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
All right, we're speaking about geopolitics and how that affects our pockets on a daily for our money matters. Kathleen Moretti is with us, founder of the Wealth Circle, which is a consultancy firm in Kenya. Before the break, Kathleen was saying, let us stock up on non-perishables. Hey, yo, sounds very deep. Look, is it that deep that we must do that? Are we not being alarmists?
We are being prepared. We are being prepared because this thing will not end, unfortunately. In as much as we are seeing negotiations going on, these things will continue up until a point where now the two countries are able to sit down and say, hey, we have fought, we have come to an agreement, and let's move forward. You know, it's called the battle of the elites. And if you look at the reaction, it follows some sort of 3 spectrums. First of all, it's the fuel. We've talked about how the fuel supply will actually go down, which means the price will increase. What does this mean? So for farmers, and this is where now the food comes in, for farmers now, every truck needs diesel. You know, fertilizers, most of them are being imported.
Sure.
So if they are stuck because of the blockage at the Strait of Hormuz, then it means now there'll be a low supply of these fertilizers. What the farmers will do, they will transfer the cost of this to the local consumer, now to us. All right. The other bit now is logistics or transport. Every taxi, every delivery person, all these vehicles, they run on fuel. So when fuel costs more, then everything they carry costs more to move. So this means now that us as the local consumers, we are going to bear the bigger chunk of the problems that we are experiencing right now, because we are working with the adjustment cycle for probably last month. Then once they review the adjustments of the food prices, we are likely to see an increase in them in the next month. So it's good for us to be prepared before that happens.
All right. I mean, that's so true, because already we're not quite sure if the negotiations are going to be happening, because President Donald Trump of the US is saying one thing, and then the Iranian leaders are saying another thing, that they're going to continue with missile attacks. In that unpredictable environment, what do you do when it comes to maybe your investments? If you are on the stock market and you have some investments there, do you withdraw, or do you just watch the scenario unfold until there are too many losses at stake a little bit later on? What do you do? Because you also don't want to just withdraw all your investments and there isn't enough to actually rebuff after this crisis.
I think now it's the best time to review your investment exposure. If you have been investing in local currency, now is the time to consider maybe the USD, the euro. You can start small. You can start with a money market fund. So where now you push your liquidity to that so that you are somehow benefiting from what's going on. Now is also the time if you don't have any formal savings or if you have little savings. Now is the time to now is actually the time to really go hard in you putting up something so that it's some sort covers prepares you. You know, it's a buffer for when the critical times come in. If you're in debt or if you've taken debt to invest, now is the time to actually go to the bank and have a conversation about the interest rates. You'll see in the next few weeks the central bank reconsidering the interest rates, which are likely to go up. So now is the time to actually sit down and say, hey, so I got this debt. These are the interest rates I was paying. Can we reconsider, or can you give me a grace period so that I'm able to take care of myself and get back on track? So now is actually the right time to go to the banks, go to the financial institutions and have conversations with them. Don't wait for them to come to you, because by the time they're coming to you, they're not coming to you with good news, and you might not have good amount of time for you to reconsider. In terms of investments, also now is also the time to look at investments the commodity way. Invest in gold, invest in cobalt, invest in lithium, invest in anything that is an alternative to oil. All right. So things like cobalt, things like gold, things like offshore investment, they had currencies. This is the right time for you to do that, because if you don't, then now you'll actually bear the losses that most investors are actually experiencing at this time.
Let's come back to our household budget. It doesn't seem like it's anything as important or as extravagant as, having investments, but we all have a household budget, and unfortunately, we all live by our own household budgets. So what are some of the most important things we can do to just stay afloat during these very harsh times, or the times that are also to come, when it comes to our everyday budgets, just making sure that the things in the house are taken care of and we and our families are alive?
So the first thing that we need to do is to fix our variable costs where we can, and also review our fixed costs. So at some point we had this conversation of essentials, non-essentials, and important expenses within the budget of a household. So essentials are things like food, your rent, things that you can't actually ignore in a month. So this is the right time for you to fix that. If you're able to cover yourself up to maybe 3-4 months, do that right now. Then review your variable costs. So these are the costs that they are essential, but they are not as important. So if you are used to buying clothes every month, I think this is the time to consider, do I really need clothes every other month? All right. If you were used to, say, for example, going to the salon or going to the barber pretty much every week, now is the time to reconsider and say, hey, can I do this probably once in 2 weeks, once in a month, and then this extra amount of money that I have, I can actually invest it somewhere. And then now there's some things that you can actually do away with. All right. So if you had, say, for example, for your entertainment costs, you are working with about 30% of your budget, maybe this is the time to probably save the 10% and reinvest, so that at least you increase and build the foundation of your buffer. Because if you're talking 6 months, that's just on paper. And in as much as negotiations are ongoing, we have no idea how long this will take. So this is the right time for you to reconsider your budget, fix your variable cost, and review your fixed costs. That will give you an understanding of where you are at in terms of your budget. But you look at some households that are already using credit to cover monthly shortfalls. So this is the right time for you to actually reconsider your credit status. Talk to the bank, because if you're not able to do this, then the shock will actually push you further in than most people who are not using credit.
All right. Yeah, it sounds very scary, very unpredictable, and it feels like we have to do all the adjustments. Is there a happy place where we can find some relief here?
Yes. So it's the time for us to think like business people. It's the time for us to ask ourselves, what would an investor do at this point? position yourself in a situation where you're, in as much as this is going on and it's actually sad, you're also benefiting in a way. So reconsider your investment portfolio. If you're investing in local currency, maybe this is the time for you to consider USD, consider euros. If you were investing in liquid fixed income, maybe this is the time for you to think about commodities like gold. That way there'll be some sort of positivity coming your way as we wait for the time that this will hopefully end. I mean, with the Russia-Ukraine, it's still ongoing, but we've gotten to a point where we have adjusted. So we'll still get to this point also with this one.
All right. Thank you so much for helping us, Kathleen. It's always good having you on the show. Where can people find you?
I am Kathleen Moretti. You can find me across all social media platforms. You can also find me through my company, The Wealth Circle. Please reach out. I should be able to sort you out.
All right, man. It's always good speaking to you. That's Kathleen Moretti, founder of The Wealth Circle, stationed in Kenya. Well, it's 11:30 Central African time. Let's bring back our news team and get our latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And it's a very good morning from the sports desk. I am Mosibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at the Sawa. So Senegal midfielder Idrissa Gueye says his side deserved to be crowned Africa champions despite CAF's decision to strip them of the title and award it to Morocco. So Senegal beat Morocco 1-0 in extra time in January's final in Rabat, but CAF then punished the team for a 15-minute walk-off during the match, overturning the result. Now, Idrissa, who captained Senegal in the place of the suspended Kalidou Koulibaly, said he was even willing to hand back the medals if it eased tensions, but also insisted titles are not won on the pitch, or rather are won on the pitch and not in offices. The federation has appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, though Idrissa says they would have preferred not to contest the ruling. On to some tennis news now. Yannick Sinner surpassed Novak Djokovic's 10-year record for most consecutive sets won at ATP 1000 Masters events by dismantling Frenchman Corentin Moutet at the Miami Open. Now, the Italian world number 2 Sinner recorded his 25th and 26th straight sets victory at the sport's highest level of the tournaments below the Grand Slams in a commanding 71-minute 6-1, 6-4 victory. Now, Sinner had equaled 24-time major champion Djokovic's previous record of 24 straight sets won in beating Dirma Zurhur in the opening match of this year's tournament. Now, Sinner, a 4-time Grand Slam winner, has triumphed at the past 2 Masters 1000 tournaments, winning at Indian Wells earlier this month and in Paris in November of last year without losing a set. He will now meet American Alex Mickelson in the last 16 as he seeks to continue his bid to become the first man to complete the Sunshine Double, winning Indian Wells as well as the Miami Open back-to-back since Roger Federer achieved that feat back in 2017. Well, back home now, the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee SASCOC's high performance manager, Leon Feisler, has confirmed that Team South Africa will send a squad of 109 athletes to the upcoming Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland from the 23rd of July to the 2nd of August. Now, swimming and athletics are expected to spearhead the country's medal charge, with both federations carrying strong prospects. Feisler emphasized that the Games come at a very crucial stage of South Africa's high performance program, describing the multi-sport spectacle as an important benchmark on the road to Los Angeles in 2028.
For these Commonwealth Games, only 10 sport. And we were very glad, we were very upset they dropped hockey and rugby because it was also important for us. But be that as it may, we're very happy that athletics and swimming have stayed in. We're taking a very strong athletics, swimming, para-athletics, para-swimming team, hopefully, pending qualification. And normally people that do well at a Commonwealth Games normally perform at an Olympic Games 2 years later. So the timing is good. Same time of the year as the Games are going to be in LA in 28. Obviously weather a bit different. Glasgow is very well known to be very rainy. But we are very excited. We're looking
Staying with athletics news, South Africa's athletes found the going tough in the field events on the final day of the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. Aidan Smith finished 15th in the men's shot put with a throw of 19.07 meters, as New Zealand's Tom Walsh claimed his fourth world indoor title in a throw of 21.82 meters. In the men's long jump, 19-year-old Temiso Masekane placed 16th with a jump of 7.37 meters, while Uluvo Manyonga failed to register a mark. Portuguese Gerson Blade took gold with a leap of 8.46 meters. Meanwhile, acting Athletics South Africa President John Matane said the athletes will reflect and work on improving on what was a challenging day for Team South Africa. And finally, Jake Paul is targeting a blockbuster bout with Francis Ngannou as he now moves into the next step in the ring. The YouTube star turned professional fighter stunned many when he lasted 6 rounds against former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua in December. Ngannou, a former UFC heavyweight champion, has already tested himself in boxing, pushing Tyson Fury over 10 rounds before being stopped by Joshua in 2. A clash between Paul and Ngannou would pit one of combat sport's biggest crossover names against an elite heavyweight powerhouse. So looking forward to that. It is 11:35 a.m. Central African time. That concludes your sports news this morning on Channel Africa. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, do send us an email, first to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, the newsroom line to call is +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África @ newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect.
Thank you, Musibudi. We have Buntle Headbush back with our latest in business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Palesa. Good morning. Our top story this hour. Namibia has turned down applications from Elon Musk's satellite internet provider, Starlink, for a telecommunications service license and access to radio spectrum. This is according to a notice in the Southern African country's government gazette, which did not say why Starlink's applications were declined. The notice says Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia could reconsider the decisions on its own motion or on a petition filed by an aggrieved party within 90 days. Starlink operates in several African countries, but has faced regulatory challenges in others and resistance from state telecoms monopolies. A spokesperson for the Namibian regulator says a statement will be issued later. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni will travel to Algeria this week as Rome looks to secure alternative gas supplies amid prolonged disruptions in deliveries from Qatar. Italian Energy Minister Gilberto Pichetto Fratin says the Prime Minister will be in Algiers tomorrow. Algeria is one of the countries Italy is in talks with to secure gas supplies after Iranian strikes on Qatar appeared to have halted its exports for an extended period. The minister says Italian state-controlled energy companies are talking to suppliers from Algeria, the United States and Azerbaijan to receive more gas, and that the government is trying to assist them. South Africa's Motor Industry Staff Association, MISA, says it agrees with Deputy President Paul Mashatile that workers need support to adapt to artificial intelligence. Mashatile is challenging labor federations to develop a digital workers' charter. He warns that AI can improve efficiency but demands new skills and it could reshape jobs. Mr. Spokesperson Pakamile Hlubi-Majola says they will engage with employers to ensure that they prioritize workers' retraining and upskilling in the face of AI adaptation.
We accept the challenge that the Deputy President has put before Labour. It's really important that workers should be at the forefront of designing and driving policy around AI. If you look at the research that's been done on AI, the reports are suggesting that as many as 85 million jobs could be lost as a result of AI by 2030. So our focus will be to expand targeted reskilling and expand learning opportunities for members, where we will be prioritizing practical job-relevant training and partnerships with training providers to ensure that no member is left behind.
The Economic Development and Tourism Portfolio Committee chairperson in South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province, Mafika Mdebele, says spaza shop owners will soon be able to buy stock in bulk and at much cheaper rates. Ndebele has been commenting ahead of the committee's visit to assess the success of financial support for spaza shops in the province, known as Zimele Traders Fund. A total budget of almost $590,000 has been set aside for this initiative, aimed at reaching 500 spaza shops throughout the province. The committee will today and tomorrow visit spaza shops in Jozini, Mandeni, Umdoni and eThekwini as part of this joint initiative with Itala Development Finance Corporation. Mdebele says an agreement with food giant Tiger Brands as well as small farmers has been reached, and this will enable spaza shops to do business with ease.
One of the things that was raised by our traders is that foreign nationals are able to sell at a cheaper rate because they are able to buy in bulk, whereas they cannot be able to do that. We have then recommended that this Zimele trade must also include warehouse which should be distributed across districts, where different local traders will be able to go there and get their goods very cheap. Already the agreement has been reached with Tiger Brand, including now working with certain small farmers so that they are able to bring their products in the warehouse, and then our traders are able to then access them cheap.
Analysts say the markets are unconvinced about U.S. President Donald Trump's statement about negotiations with Iran. He was contradicted by the Speaker of Iran's parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, who has denied that any negotiations have taken place with the United States, adding that it was a ploy to manipulate the markets. The price of Brent crude has risen again above $100 a barrel. The BBC's Nick Marsh has the details.
The price of Brent crude has been ticking up. It's around that $103, $104 mark. The reason for this increase in the price of oil that we're seeing today in Asia trade, you'd assume, can be put down to the fact that Tehran has completely denied the existence of these talks, let alone talks that have progressed to the point where there's a cessation of hostilities even on the table. So if you're a trader here, you're looking at, maybe optimistic mood music, coming out of the White House, and then you're seeing statements coming out of Tehran saying it's fake news.
And now in our final look at the indicators this morning, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,366 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 50. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 59. And in Zambia, it's 19 kwacha 48. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 28. Russia, 82 rubles 40. In India, it's 93 rupees 52. China, 6 yuan 88. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rand 96 cents this morning. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,338 per ounce, platinum at $1,827 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $103.87 a barrel. And that's the business news. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. channelavrica.co.za. Give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Hetbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Franschhoek, get ready. The vibe is happening this March. The Monroe Jazz Festival Franschhoek is bringing more than 30 local and international acts for one unforgettable weekend, including DJ Zinke, DJ Kent, DJ Kent Zero, Layla Hathaway, Robert Glasper, and Bilal, plus many more. From 27 to 29 March 2026, experience the music, the culture, and the energy. Grab your tickets now at ticketmaster.co.za. Monroe Jazz Festival Franschhoek. Feel the energy. Live the moment.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Paila musad, un suercarizebe, ansua potuna. Mobinka, 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 hey, mobinka, 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 arihumele. Sale pelo burutakaga nakiwaga maubinga nakirata maubinga kakia ya mujer kilele paila musar un suercarizebe ansua potuna. Paila masari, un suercarizebe, ansua potuna. Mobinka, 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 hey, mobinka, 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 arihumele.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
He say love me, you put me Chanel. 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 Say love me, put me Chanel. Turns out I had you turned out. What's my mood? Try me, come find out. One more time, stop trying to read my mind. I'm not her and she's not me, and you're not mine. No, yeah, with me. Baby, I'm a D&D. Please don't bother me. Hey, be no VV. Flawless diamond face. Yeah, you gotta make me freeze. Reasons that you gotta. He say love me, you put me Chanel. 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 Say love me, you put me Chanel. I'm a big dog, you gotta.
Put in Chanel. Put in Chanel.
They say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. They say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. They say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. They say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. They say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. Say love me, put me Chanel. I'm a big dog baby and a dog baby, self-made bitch, yeah, you ain't upgrade me. Waistline crazy, man, don't chase me. Say you want see me, where you gonna take me?
Put in Chanel. Put in Chanel.
They say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. Say love me, put me Chanel.
Yeah, we've been speaking about money. Tyler's doing the same thing. If you love her, you must buy her some Chanel. That's Tyler with Chanel. And before that, we gave you Siretse and the Natives with Mao Benga. It's 11:50 Central Africa time. Stay tuned to Channel Africa and, of course, engage with us on our live stream on Facebook, Channel Africa, and on YouTube, Channel Africa 1.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
The whole population of Africa has been shocked to the depth of its soul.
For 60 years, Channel Africa has been the voice that connects the continent, telling our stories and sharing our vision with the world. This year, we mark 6 decades of broadcast excellence.
60 years of stories, sound, and connection.
6 years of African conversations that matter.
This is 60 years of broadcast excellence.
Rooted in Africa's heartbeat and looking boldly into the future. Join Channel Africa as we celebrate 60 years of broadcasting. Still strong, still vibrant, and still giving you the African perspective.
Channel Africa.
Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
All right, we have Lulu Gabu here, who's here to let us know what's coming up on today's Africa Update. Morning, Lulu.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
All right, a lot coming up in this next hour. We're going to be looking at concerns that are mounting, continuing to mount over the credibility of recent elections in the Republic of Congo. Mm-hmm. And then also a member of Gauteng's organized crime unit, Sergeant Fanim Nkosi, has concluded his testimony at the Madlanga Commission after spending 6 days in the hot seat. It's just watching everything that unfolded there. A lot coming out from the Madlanga Commission, and we will be focusing on the Madlanga Commission as well later on in the program. So all that and more coming up on Africa Update.
Looking forward to it. Lulu Gabu with the Africa Update, keeping you updated with what's going on the continent and the world over. But let's have a little bit more fun before we say goodbye.
Hadithi njo Story gani inaona kwa TV, udem sina mjua. Alikuwa jirani yangu Roisambu, 44 nikiwa kampo. Kuna vita kati ya watu wawili, mtu na mpenzi wake. Sana ona amelazwa ICU, apigania maisha yake. Na wakili wa vida wameingilia, wamezua ngori kali sana. Pia naona paybill number 0877. Na vile sina kitu siku ya leo, mitamchangia tu damu. Ni mwanaume gani huyo? Ni mnyama si binadamu. So here we are again by the river. Are we gonna watch her drown or are we gonna save her? I'm standing next to you, by the river. Are we gonna watch her drown or are we gonna save her? And the mama say, don't shame this family with divorce. You just got married the other day and it wasn't by force. Her friends tell her to walk away. When she turn around, they talk and say, didn't she look so happy yesterday? Her profile picture is his face. Oh no, wait. Minta changa tu kwa nyimbo. Leo ni yeye na kesho ni mimi, duniani muviringo. So here we go again, by the river. Are we gonna watch her drown or are we gonna save her? I'm standing next to you, by the river. Are we gonna watch her drown or are we gonna save her? Oh, here we go again by the river. Are we gonna watch her drown or are we gonna save her? I'm standing next to you by the river. Are we gonna watch her drown or are we gonna save her?
Sauti Soul. That's Sauti Soul with By the River. As we say goodbye as the On the Move team and leave you in the safe and capable hands of Lulu Gabu with the Africa Update. Have yourself a fantastic day.
All right, God bless everyone. Until then, tomorrow we're broadcasting live, right?
Yes, we're broadcasting live from the Africa Matters Summit.
Yeah, don't forget that one. We'll be here until 9 o'clock from midday. And so we're looking forward to that one.
Thank you.